housekeeping things. I'm Jerry, and I'll be leading the session. This is called a collaborative human-centered design, and this is going to be an approach to problem solving where we work together, we focus on empathy, and we develop solutions that are catered to the people for whom we're designing. And this is a really common approach in design, in business, in product development, and what I've been focusing on in the past year is what I call learner experience design, and it's basically applying user experience design principles like this to curriculum. And so I spend a lot of time interviewing students to understand their motivations, their concerns, their pain points, and that helps me to come up with better assessment techniques, better projects, better class policies. And I've been advocating this approach on campuses and doing presentations to advocate learner experience design. So far it's worked out great, and I'm getting some really great responses. So the session today, what we can expect is a series of activities which I'll introduce in this main room, and then we'll break out into smaller breakout rooms. So there'll be 3 people per room, approximately. And if some people join us late, then they'll be sort of entered into the room. And if you, of course, have to leave, you can drop out. But that's the format. So you'll be doing the majority of the talking, not me. We're going to be using Zoom, of course, breakout rooms. And I'm going to share a link to a Microsoft Word document. One second, I'm going to put this in the chat. We can use that as think of it as a worksheet. It's basically just to keep us all on track. So I'll go over the instruction for each part, but this is what you can use to keep you on track. And so you'll see that it's got between each activity, it's got a big obnoxious stop sign. And that's just to let you know that, don't go ahead because we want to be intentional about sticking to the activities as we go. All right, so, and then Jen, do you have the breakout rooms ready?
So we had a few more people join. We have 17 guests.
Yeah, let's keep the 5 breakout rooms.
Okay.
This is great. Yeah?
That link doesn't seem to open a document. It opens a website on Emerald Insight. Is that right?
Oh, no. That doesn't open a document? Is anybody seeing the Word document there called Collaborative Human-Centered Design?
It opens okay for me, Jerry.
It downloads it.
Yeah, it should download it.
Yes, you just have to open the download, that's all.
I'm sorry, I thought it was okay. Gotcha.
That's okay. Everybody, I usually do this sort of workshop in person, so doing this virtually, I don't know, there's probably a million things that could go wrong, so I hope they don't. So I think some people have joined their breakout rooms. We don't want to join yet. So can you pull them all back?
That's what I wasn't sure. I was like, are we starting the room? I think we're starting. All right, they're coming back. That was just a trial run of joining a breakout room. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah. Okay, it looks like we've got our breakout rooms established. So let's talk for a minute, and then we'll join our rooms. And are we all back? What is it, Jen?
Breakout room 5 is coming back in 20 seconds. Okay. My apologies.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I'm actually really confident that will be the very last glitch of this whole workshop, and everything else will go perfectly smoothly from here on out.
Sorry, I should have muted myself when I left.
No, that's fine.
Okay, everybody's back.
Oh, great. Okay, guys. Okay, so we're gonna do human-centered design, and this really focuses on empathy. So when you first break out into your rooms, well, first of all, let's talk about the problem that we want to address. So this is a general issue that everyone who's in education is facing. Everyone in general is facing sort of a version of this, but in light of the pandemic, we need to come up with new approaches for education. And the challenge here is that they need to be effective approaches, but we need to maintain precautionary health measures. Things like social distancing, wearing masks, implementing testing, having flexible plans, right? So these are all things that we're considering as we continue to provide education, some over the summer and certainly in the fall semester. So this is the problem statement, and we're going to return to this in a minute. But right now, I want us to join our breakout rooms, and here's what I'd like to ask you to do in this breakout room is, first of all, just sort of introduce yourselves. The next thing is, you'll see on the first page of the worksheet that for each room, and they're numbered, there's a persona archetype listed next to it in a table. And they're things like the hipster, the IT guy, the scientist. These are all archetypes of people. And what I want you to do is, as a group, imagine a person. Okay, so based on the archetype, imagine a particular person and give that person a name. Start with that. What's their name? And then I want you to just start imagining together what the person is like. And talk about things like what they spend their time on, what's important to them, what are their hobbies, what's their background, what's their family like, just general things about the person. The idea here is that we're going to imagine together a persona, and then we'll be able to develop solutions based on that persona. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah? Okay, so for this break, yeah, go ahead.
Just saying yes.
Confirmation. Awesome. So for this, we're going to take 6 minutes. So just be cognizant that we're only taking 6 minutes. So do quick introductions and then start talking about the person. Okay? So Jen, if you don't mind, let's put everybody into breakout rooms, and I'll see you back in about 6 minutes. I was put into a breakout room, and I think there might not be a way around that.
Yeah, you can just choose not to join, but it automatically mutes everybody when they return to the room, the main session.
Yes. No, but I mean, like, yeah, so I just saw myself joining a breakout room, and then I just left the room really quickly. But I'll probably have to do that every time. Unless you want to put me in my own breakout room. Why don't you do that?
Then you'd have to, oh, okay. Hi, John. You're on mute. Sorry, you automatically mute when you return.
I'm sorry, my internet connection crashed for a minute there.
Okay.
So I didn't hear it. Got back to the main room in time for you to start the explanation, and I didn't hear it. So
okay.
Where am I supposed to be?
We'll put you in a breakout room.
And what are we doing?
I think your group will catch you up when you get there.
Okay, thanks.
All right, I'm gonna move you to 2.
And Abby, are you?
I think Abby is just.
I am with the event logistics team, so I'm just
okay.
here for backup. That's all.
You're lurking.
Yep.
No, I don't mean that. You're overseeing.
Yes,
Abby,
Supporting.
I'm here for backup.
Yeah.
do you happen to know how to take Jerry out of a breakout room?
I think if you make a new breakout room and then just put me in it.
I don't know
And
that
if
I
you
can.
can't, it's no big deal. I can always just enter and leave.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Only
that you can add one after you've created them.
that's why, yeah, I'm not getting the
Yeah.
options to do that.
That's fine. We're easygoing.
Thank you. All right, so we've got
Okay.
2.5 minutes left.
Did you put a timer on it, or we're going to just do it manually?
Well, I get a timer of how long the breakout rooms have been in progress.
I see. Yeah.
So I set
Yeah, I
that
start.
for 5 minutes, and then I'll do the close all rooms, and they'll get a 60-second countdown. So that'll be the 6 minutes.
That's fine. Jen, I'll take care of timing. I'll just let you know when
Okay.
to send the message.
All right.
Yeah, because I just estimate these things, and I'd rather go by feel and just go like that. That sort of feels like it's. I mean, I use a stopwatch on my phone, but
Okay.
um, if it doesn't seem like it's enough time, then we'll just extend it. And Jen, what's your discipline?
I have a bachelor's in nutrition and dietetics, and then I started working at the Stedman Center for Nutrition-Related Research about 10 years ago after college, and I've been doing clinical research ever since.
Oh,
So
that sounds great.
I oversee a research team in Kannapolis, North Carolina now. So I moved from Durham to Concord, which is closer to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah, yeah. I was just there less than a year ago for a conference.
Very cool.
Charlotte was great. We had a great time. My collaborator and we spent a whole day eating and drinking our way through the city.
Nice. I hope it
Yeah,
was
it was a lot
good.
of fun. It was great, yeah. We went to a place that had a this is going to sound so gross, but it was just really interesting. A cocktail that was a beef infused old fashioned. So strange.
Savory.
Yes, yes. It was. I mean, it sounded gross, and then, but then I was like, I got to try it. Like I always want to try the weirdest thing. But, and then they brought it out with a like a lid over it.
Smoking.
Smoking, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe you've been to this place.
No, and that's just a hot thing now to
Yeah,
have a smoking cocktail.
yeah.
So I did set the timer and people are joining again. I won't do
Oh.
that next time.
That's okay. Kiana, was that enough time? Yeah?
Yeah, I think we got an archetype ready.
Uh-huh. Will you tell me about it? Just quickly.
Yeah, we had the hipster, so we thought about this. Well, we didn't think of a gender, but we thought of it being someone of a kind of suburban family. They moved to like a bigger city, and then this one person became a bit more hipster, different from the rest of the family, and likes guitar, is passionate about the environment, stuff like that.
It's great. Yeah, these have been a lot of fun to come up with, and I've used these in a couple of different workshops, and they've evolved, and I've added to them over time to accommodate bigger groups. The hipster is always a good one. There's one called the bro too that people seem to get a kick out of.
Have you ever had the conversation about, because it's interesting, my response to these archetypes was, I don't know, I had a little of a knee-jerk response to some of them because just wondering if I've been involved with other groups where we've sort of intentionally built into the initial archetypes the diversity that we want to see.
Yep.
So I don't know if that's you're building up to that too, but
Well, you mean like is the soccer mom, is that sort of triggering?
a lot of them actually.
Yeah.
The IT guy, yeah, the bro, and yeah,
Yep.
the Instagram
Well, and
model.
what's great is people take charge and they say the bro, like there are female bros. Like bro is the archetype is just somebody who's just sort of, all about they're shirking off responsibility, and they're all about sort of appearance and how they look to others. And there's like a female version of that. And so what I usually get in workshops is that a lot of people have turn it around and make it the soccer dad, and there's no problem with that. The most important thing here is that we like all sort of agree on who the person is. The archetype is really just a springboard. And in real life, when hopefully you apply this sort of technique in real life, you interview people and you come up with a persona based on the feedback that you get from interviewing people. So these should be based in reality. We don't have time to do interviews and then come back and do it. So this is the compressed version. Yeah. Are we all back? Chris, would you mind sharing what you guys talked about, what you came up with?
Oh, we introduced ourselves, so we didn't get around to it. So sorry.
Oh, okay.
Pass.
Okay. Well, we'll take a little more time for the next breakout. So the next breakout is I'm asking you to create an empathy diagram, and let me see. I should share my. I think I should probably share my screen. One sec. So that we get what an empathy diagram is. Okay, and this is what you should see in your worksheet. Okay, so you've had this conversation about a person, and hopefully you've given them a name. So this is a persona. And this is a really useful tool to have when you're designing, because this gives you an opportunity to sort of tease apart the person's motivation, their pain points, their frustrations, and things like that. And so for this exercise, I'd like you to write the person's name here and then fill out these quadrants. Things they say, things they hear and see, things they do, and things they think and feel. So things they say, this is just the words that come out of their mouth. And the important thing here is that it's the thing that's outwardly projected. Okay, so the things that they say out loud. As opposed to in the lower right, things they think and feel, this is inward. These are the things that they're concerned about that they don't necessarily share. In the upper right, we've got things they hear and see. And these are external influences. So the things that their parents say, that their friends say, their colleagues say, things they see on social media, things they see on television, that should all go under here. And then things they do, this is how they spend their time. And so you can tell a lot about somebody when you consider what they spend their time doing. The things that are important to them that take priority, that's what they spend their time on. Does that all make sense? Okay, so let's go back into our breakout groups, and this time we're going to spend 8 minutes. Actually, let's make it 10 minutes to fill out the empathy diagram. Okay, because some of you didn't maybe need a little more time to develop the persona. So we're going to take 10 minutes, but make sure you get right down to work and start talking about this. And the goal here is for everybody to have a good understanding of the persona. Okay? So we'll see you back here in 10 minutes.
It looks like he's also in breakout room 5. But
Oh,
I'm not sure how he's simultaneously in the main room.
unless you open this on two different devices. Gassan, can you hear me? Oh, he's now in. Now there's two instances. Oh, Zoom.
Hello? Can
Gassan,
you hear me?
yeah, hi.
Yes, so I opened in my computer. That's why I ended up back in the main room. Can you please put me back?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Our guess was correct. Is Jen, is the audio okay the way it is? Because I'm using an external microphone, but I'm hearing like birds and chainsaws and stuff too. But hopefully the mic's not picking it
And
up.
boats.
Can you hear them?
You're on a lake. It's nice.
Yeah. You know, I live in Chicago, and I came up. This is our summer cottage, and came up last weekend, and then things broke out, and I was like, "Why am I going to go back home? This is, you know, much easier out here. This is a rural area, and there's no issue here."
I have family in Chicago too. It's a nice
Oh, do
place.
you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where about?
Oh, hang on. All right, robot vacuum. I don't want that to be going
Oh.
off. Right by Midway Airport.
Oh, yeah. That's kind of near where I grew up.
The Polish section.
Yep.
We are Polish.
Yeah. One of my good friends is a dietetics professor at my university, Bowling Green State, and yeah, she's doing great work. And she actually my she asked me a couple of years ago if I would come in and talk to her class about my experience because my dad was on TPN, and she wanted to talk about, you know, what families go through when they have a loved one on TPN, and so she asked me to come in and talk to her class about it. And it was so weird. Like, I'm used to preparing lectures, and she was like, "No, just come in and talk about your experience." And it went so well, and it was actually really like cathartic for me to talk about it because, I mean, you're familiar with the whole process, right? They send you home with a bunch of bags of of stuff and a pump.
Liquid nutrition. Yeah.
Yeah, and but they gave us instructions, like they explained it in the hospital before we left, and then we got home and we were like, what did we have to do? It's
Yeah,
like when
because
you're
unfortunately the dietitian comes in right before you're discharged, and that's when your mind is just going all over the place
right.
with other things. So it's a challenge.
Yeah. So I was really happy to be able to share that so that that the students had a perspective of like the mindset of someone, because like you're not remembering these things, and even it's like I'm taking notes and then I look back and they're incomplete notes, and it's kind of scary, even though you're not like my dad had a port, so we weren't having to inject anything, but like we did have to inject vitamins into the TPN. You know, it wasn't. They sent us home with the bag and then a bunch of vials of stuff, and we would have to use syringes too.
Mm-hmm. And keep it
And
clean.
well, yeah, and that was the thing. It's like, you know, how sterile do we need to be? Like, you wash your hands and then you use alcohol, and like, am I doing the sufficient amount of all that?
Yeah. I really enjoyed my undergrad. It was neat to get all the experience with it. Once you pick a major, you think that you're ready to go, but the field of nutrition, just like I'm sure any other field, has so many opportunities in various areas: clinical nutrition, community, renal dietetics, weight loss. You could go all over. And so I just
Yeah.
felt like research was my strength. And so I dived into that. And then I've been more along the lines of running studies than actually focusing on the nutrition now. So I'm a little disconnected. but I still really enjoyed the nutrition-related research studies that I did in the past. From moving from Durham, I had to leave the group that was heavily involved in nutrition. I'm still somewhat connected, but we're more in translational research now.
What is that?
Doing longitudinal health research studies, just very broad goals of mapping human health.
Oh.
Collecting every specimen that we possibly can.
What are you focusing on?
I oversee multiple research studies. I don't have a specific focus. My focus is more site operations.
Oh, okay.
And just understanding all the different protocols and making sure that we collect the data accordingly.
Oh, so it's a lot of like kind of managing projects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's fun.
That's what happens, I think, when you move up and move up, you're doing more management and you're not doing the thing that you trained to do, but I don't know, that's how the world works.
Yeah. We moved to the Kannapolis, Charlotte area because my husband wanted to open a brewery, which he successfully did, which is great.
Oh, wow.
But it completely changed my career path too. So not completely, I'm still in research, but
Yeah.
more distant from nutrition.
But sort of, yeah, out of necessity because of the location.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, I mean, that's usually how, if you look back on your life after a while and you go like, so what series of decisions got me here?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those were not really, A, not planned, and B, some of them weren't even in your control.
Just new opportunities, that you go for.
But then when you're happy, you go like, thank goodness things turned out the way that they did.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really awesome that you're. So you were saying that runners drink it too?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want that recorded?
No, it's recording now.
Yeah, I wonder how that's even going to turn out if it's recording just the main room and it's going to be like just me talking and then everyone goes away and then me talking again. All right.
All right, everybody should be joining right now.
Great.
Much more pleasant now, Jerry. We hear birds.
The birds. That's awesome.
Not the chainsaw, but birds. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope that wasn't too annoying or distracting.
Well, it's better than your neighbor being right behind you with a chainsaw.
Yeah, but you know, he's like, he's got to be 100 yards away. It just carries over the water.
But that would be quite the zoom.
Yeah.
I live not too far from the airfield at Oceana Naval Air Base, and when the jets are taking off over the top of my head, they're about 3,000 feet height, and they're really loud.
So the book's going to start coming down from your shelf then?
If they do a sonic boom, you can feel it all over the city.
Oh, wow. All right, so is everybody back? Yeah? Great. Alexandria, would you share a little bit about what your group talked about?
Oh, sure. And group, if I do not capture it well, please feel free to chime in. So our persona is the soccer mom, and we named her Julie. And we think she's someone who, wants comfort, but things that are versatile, things like that. So for us, for things that she's saying are things like, I'm tired, but maybe also saying everything's fine or everything's good, and how can I help, and what am I forgetting? stuff that she's hearing. We talked a bit about like social media expectations and the concept of that Pinterest mom and feeling like she has to do everything. But she might also be the first one to hear an alarm in the morning. Maybe she's the first one getting up. And then we talked about either getting support or competition from other parents or moms. Things that she's doing, right? Spending time with her family, driving kids, organizing, planning, multitasking, probably consuming a good amount of coffee, trying not to overdose on the news, things like that, so she can stay focused. And how is she thinking and feeling? Perhaps internally she's feeling exhausted, but also love and enjoying what she's doing, maybe some type of pride, but always in the back of her mind, maybe worry or concern for the safety and well-being of her children. Really focused on her health and family, and also potentially financially conscious.
That's awesome. That is seriously excellent. So you, from what I just heard, it sounds like you're identifying things that she takes pride in and also things that she's concerned about. So this is super important. We call those pains and gains. And the key to finding insights to do problem solving with personas is to identify those pains and gains and leverage the gains to mitigate the pains. And like, if you can do that, it's a win. That was excellent. I'm gonna keep us on track because we have to get through all these exercises. I would love to hear about all of the empathy diagrams. But hopefully what you'll find is that an empathy diagram is just a tool, and it's a way to help you organize a persona. So if you identify a persona, you can write paragraphs about them. You can create visualizations and infographics about them, whatever works best for you. I find this to be something, if you don't have drawing skills and you want a way to sort of very systematically tease apart a persona, you'll find your insights pretty quickly if you consider all of the quadrants of an empathy diagram. These are also called empathy maps. If you search online, you'll see tons of different variations of this. People do them in different ways, but they're called empathy diagrams or empathy maps. Graphic designers use these all the time, as do product designers and marketers. Okay, so let's move forward to insights. And for this, I will share my screen real quick. So the next activity you'll see, this one's quicker than the last. And I want you to find, based on your conversation and based on the empathy diagram, that you'll probably find that these insights emerge. And I just want to ask that you put them into this format where you've got the person's name, the persona, what they do, what their goal is, or their need, or what their outcome is, and then the restriction that prevents them from doing it. So an example would be like, Jenny spends a lot of time on her phone. That's the action. Because she likes the attention that her posts get. That's her need. She's driven to get attention. But there's an adverse effect, and that it distracts her from face-to-face conversations with her friends. Does that make sense? So yours, of course, will be different than this. And the key here is that you've talked about this person, and hopefully you can have a conversation now about Julie in a way that it's like you know her, like she's part of your social group. Like, oh, Julie, she would really like this, or Julie, really wouldn't like that. By the way, Alexandria, I noticed that you named the soccer mom Julie. Does anyone want to guess what the most popular name is when I do this exercise for the soccer mom? Matthew, do you have a guess?
Karen.
You got it. It's Karen.
Yeah, I was careful not to recommend Karen.
Okay, so if there are no questions, let's break out into our breakout rooms again. Oh, guys, real quick. It's not annoying that we're going back and forth so much, is it? I hope not. Okay. Normally, we would have teams in a big room and we'd have whiteboards, but I'm hoping this is going to work out. So
it works fine. Some of us are hampered by not being, in our case, an Instagram user.
Yeah,
Trying to
that's
attribute
true. But
aspects to, my inputs were just simply guesses because I don't know.
yeah, but and then you can learn from your teammates who know a bit more about it.
Who also don't know either.
More true than you know. Thank you.
Okay, so let's take 6 minutes, go into the breakout rooms to do the identifying insights exercise. And we'll see you back in 6 minutes. Useful. Just to let people.
Sarah Davis new. I don't remember seeing her name.
Oh, maybe because it's 11:20. I wonder if she's got the time zones mixed up.
All right, we should have everybody back.
Great. Okay, so hopefully that was enough time. You know what we can do? If you guys look at the bottom right-hand part of your interface at the bottom, there's a button called, it says reactions, and there's a thumbs up. So if that was enough time, give me a thumbs up. So maybe wasn't totally enough time.
Sorry, I don't know. My button doesn't do anything.
Oh.
I'm not trying to be non-responsive. I'm trying to give a thumbs up.
That's fine. Yeah, I see. Actually, I've talked to a lot of teachers that are using Zoom and finding ways to do these things even when the tech fails. And they'll have students like hold up something like to their screen to indicate instead of using the virtual thing. Yeah. All right. So are we all feeling good? Give me a thumbs up if you're feeling good. Yeah. Forget that virtual thumbs up. It's a real thumbs up. Okay. So what we've just done are a couple of empathy exercises, and this is the key to human-centered design. It's understanding the person for whom you're designing. And I think you'll all agree that a solution designed for one person is not the best solution designed for another person. But what we find in design is that if I asked you to design something, let's say it's a mobile app, and if I asked you to design a mobile app for people aged 18 through 35, you'd have a very hard time coming up with something that had any kind of direction whatsoever because it's way too vague. And if I said design for females between the ages of 15 and 19, you'd be a little more focused, but you still have no idea what to design for. But if I introduced you to a female age 17 and you had a conversation with her about her likes, her dislikes, her motivations, and her frustrations, you would be able to come up with a solution for her very easily, right? Because you'd have an understanding. And that's what empathy is all about. The idea of market research that creates market segments, they call it, where like, oh, it works good for this group. That doesn't work at all when you're trying to be creative. It actually helps you much more if you can constrain yourself to a particular person or set of people. And so that's why doing empathy exercises like this or applying empathy techniques is so important. So let's move forward from empathy into ideation. Ideation means generating ideas, okay? And so we're going to do what's called divergent thinking. And divergent thinking means that your ideas go off in a bunch of different directions, and you let yourself be free to come up with a bunch of crazy ideas. We're going to revisit the problem statement in a second, and then we're going to refocus it as a question instead of a statement. So if you remember our problem statement, I'm going to share my screen here. Our problem statement had to do with how to do teaching and learning when you have to practice precautionary health measures. And every one of the personas that I showed you are potential students. Some of them might be post-traditional students, some of them might be traditional students, but they all are students. So if the problem is that we're limited and we have this set of constraints to create learning experiences, how do we create effective learning experiences for these students? And so the worksheet, which I'll share right now, reframes that in a question. And it's useful to use the format, how might we? So instead of asking how many or why or who, if we frame our question using how might we, that opens it up to creativity because there's no right or wrong answer. Saying, how might we do this? So how might we design the perfect learning experience for Julie? We know Julie. We know all these aspects of her. So how could we create a learning experience that's tailored for her? And you might be thinking, well, okay, that's only good for Julie. But it turns out that if you come up with a really effective learning experience for one particular person, it usually works for a lot of people. But imposing this constraint actually helps you to be more creative. Okay? So to be clear, you're designing for the persona that you've been talking about. And you're asking this question and coming up with as many answers to it as you can. I said before that divergent thinking means divergent, just think about things going in all these different directions. It's okay to come up with wild ideas. It's okay to come up with ideas that would never be implemented. The goal in doing this exercise is actually to fill up this square with many ideas as you write this. Okay? One person group should be defined for this. Listening and typing, so whoever can type at a relatively fast speed should probably be the scribe. And everyone should contribute. Does that all make sense? Yeah? Okay, so for this, because remember we're trying to come up with as many ideas as we can, let's take 8 minutes and let's see. Yeah, let's take 8 minutes to do this in our breakout rooms. And if you feel your momentum dying down, come up with the craziest idea you can. That'll help kickstart more ideas. And I want to tell you two more things before we start. The first one is try to build on other people's ideas. And a good technique for doing that is when someone comes up with something, say yes and add something else, right? So if the idea is we should all dress up in funny hats, I'll say yes, and we should wear funny shoes to match. Okay, so we're reinforcing the idea and we're building on it. And then the other thing is, even if something is not completely on point, go ahead and shout it out anyway. You want to go for volume, and wild ideas are okay. Are we all set? Yeah? Okay, so let's break out, and we're going to take 8 minutes, and I'll see you back here then.
So I assigned Sarah, I believe, to, wait, no. Yeah, Sarah joined the group of 2 in breakout room 3.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll figure it out.
So I think room 4 actually had more people, but now it's just 2. We might have lost an attendee.
Yeah. So how many have you been in other sessions too? Like,
Just 2. So we lost. Chris, Jonah, Rubio, Chris. Sorry, hang on. I just want to make sure I didn't put something. Yeah, Chris is not with us anymore. No, I've only done 2, and this is my first year with skits.
yeah, I don't know. This is only the second time I've done like a Zoom version of this type of workshop, and I have no idea what it's like to experience it. I've only led it, so I don't know. I hope it's not annoying to jump back and forth. I think it's okay.
Yeah, I think they're fine with it. I think the only thing is that's interesting that when people leave, your groups get shifted, but people just, vanish rather than upping and walking away.
Yeah, people don't get moved to other groups, do they?
No, we just completely lost an attendee.
Okay.
So it's different in Zoom when you leave without saying anything or putting it in the chat that you're leaving, versus in person, you would say, "Hey, I've got to go do something." So I feel like this group of 2 and the breakout that used to be a group of 3 are probably like, what happened to their?
Wait, or the person verbally said, "Hey, I'm leaving."
Maybe.
Yeah.
You can ghost people in your Zoom.
You can. You could just be like, "See ya." Yeah, I'll be really interested to hear feedback. Because, yeah, I wonder when we'll be able to do conferences again. Do you have any insight?
No.
How is it by you? I mean, Chicago, it's ironically, I don't know if ironically, but coincidentally, the week that we were set to reopen businesses was the same week that the protests started. So it's like a bunch of businesses were looted and destroyed 2 days before they were supposed to open.
Yeah, there was a lot of looting in the Charlotte and Raleigh area. So some of our favorite businesses on Fayetteville Street in Raleigh all have broken windows, which is really sad. And especially when that kind of stuff I don't think is covered by insurance. So they're down already, and then it's almost like they get kicked because they have to pay the expense of fixing up their business. So it's just been really sad to see. Thankfully, people are not looting in our area. It's like a bedroom city compared to Charlotte and Raleigh. So we're distant from it. I just see it in media.
Yeah.
Yeah, those wouldn't work well in a breakout, I'm not sure.
I don't know what happened. I was alone in breakout room 4.
Oh.
Yeah.
It looks like Doris Rubio is also in breakout room 4.
Yeah, she was there. She was there. It's just her photo that was there, but she wasn't there physically. So nobody else. Chris is supposed to be there. We were 3. We started 3. Myself, Chris, and then
we
Doris.
were talking about that. Yeah, Chris seems to have left. And that's interesting that you didn't have Doris. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, Doris wasn't there. So I was left alone.
Ghosting during Zoom calls.
I was talking to myself. I was talking all to myself. Yeah.
Wait, so Doris and Chris both left?
Doris is showing up still on the session, but maybe she had to step away for a bio break.
Yeah. I'm
I
sorry
think
about
she
that,
was called
Jonah.
out. She was called out. She was called out. I think so.
Boy, for something that's called collaborative human-centered design, that wasn't very collaborative for you if your two teammates left.
Yeah.
But were you able to come up with ideas on your own?
Yes, we've been discussing about retiree. We've identified some of the problems, their interests, what they want to do, and some of the barriers, So I was thinking we will bring our ideas together on how we can make the retiree have a better experience based on their objectives as well as the identified barriers, And just on my own, I was thinking about, because we identify that they love to watch news, tell stories with their grandchildren, visit the neighbors, and the rest of that to take away boredom. So, and we identify mobility issues could be a barrier, and then the current pandemic. So the solution I was thinking we will discuss as a collaboratively is the issue of utilizing digital technology, WhatsApp video conferencing, even Zoom that we're talking about, to reach out to the grandchildren, see them, and also engage in conversation. And then there were, so those are some of the things we talked about, and then encourage them to subscribe to digital news, digital television, and the rest of that.
That's great. It sounds like so you're suggesting that they'd focus on their connections.
Yes, connections. Yeah.
Yeah, love it. That's great. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So we've got one more breakout, and then we're going to hopefully have some time to share out in the main room. Okay. So what we've just done is divergent thinking, and the good part about this is that about doing divergent thinking is that you come up with a ton of ideas. The bad part is they're not all feasible, and they're not all maybe very effective, but that's okay. And so this takes actually a lot of practice to get comfortable throwing out wild ideas. The important thing is if you're doing this as a group, you have to defer judgment, meaning you can't tell people like, that's a stupid idea, that wouldn't work. Maybe it is a stupid idea and it wouldn't work, but you have to defer that until later on. So when you're doing ideation, it's important to suspend your judgment, embrace ideas no matter how crazy they are. So let's move on to, since we just did divergent thinking that goes out like this, now we're going to do convergent thinking that brings ideas together and coalesces them into something that's actionable. So in this last breakout room, we're going to take 5 minutes only, which is, I think, enough time to talk through. And the idea here is to look back at the results of your divergent thinking and choose the best idea. And it may be that you find that 2 ideas or 3 ideas can be combined into one really good one. And that's often the case. Or you might, after having reflected on it a little bit, decide that this one idea was pretty on point, but it could be expanded to something else. But the idea here is that you have all of these options and you're distilling them into something that is actionable. So at the end of this breakout session, I want you to have one idea and explain it to the rest of the group. So when we come back, one representative from each group will say, the persona we were designing for is named blank, and they are, and just tell us a little bit about them, and say, we came up with the following solution, and tell us about the solution. And I think we can do all that in about 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, so that every group has a chance to share. Sound good? All right, guys, home stretch. You got this. 5 minutes, and we'll return back to this room.
Do we want to move Jonah to room 5?
That would
Jonah,
be great.
would you? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to be alone again.
All right.
Yeah. Good call, Jen. Thank you.
Open up all
Yeah.
rooms.
Welcome, Jonah.
Thank
Doris?
Is she on? Okay, I'm gonna move her to room 1.
See, this is why it's good to have everyone have their cameras turned on. 'Cause then
Yep.
you know they're engaged.
Jerry, I'm actually having trouble with Zoom not maximizing on my screen, so
Let's see. Doris, are you with us?
I moved her to room 1. She hasn't yet joined.
I'll send her a message. Oh, I think she's joining twice. She must have switched machines. Doris?
Moved her to room 1. Still hasn't joined.
Oh, I think she did.
Yep.
Oh, good. So yeah, she probably connected with 2 different devices. So that happened twice. That's a good thing to put in the notes.
Yes.
And I think we might give them, I said 5 minutes, we might give them like 6 minutes. I'm going to grab coffee. I'll be right back.
Abby, I don't know if you're still with us, but my Zoom window is not maximizing on my screen because I was switching back and forth between Adobe and Zoom. So all I have is the window for the breakout rooms. Can you just confirm that it's recording?
Oh, I'm seeing the recording light on.
Oh, you are? Okay, great.
Yeah.
I'm not able to get the Zoom window to maximize on my computer. This is unfortunate. Oh, you know what? I figured it out.
Oh.
It minimized behind the breakout room.
It's like a separate window?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to rearrange things to find it. Yay, we're back.
Good. And so, yeah, 5 minutes are up now, so you can send the message to bring them back.
Thank you. All right, they should be joining in a few seconds.
Great.
So I'm not sure that we were real effective, but we sure were having a lot of fun.
I'm glad to hear that. I'll bet you probably were effective as well.
Or three, most of us don't do Instagram, we found out.
Uh-huh.
In the Instagram group. So we were dealing in sort of make-believe, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, this is brings up something for me to learn moving forward. But I guess, hopefully the point that comes across is that when you're doing empathy work, you're basing it on human connection. So this is really kind of a proximity because we're assuming, and that's probably the downfall of this, is that we have to make so many assumptions, and people rarely are one-dimensional. Like these personas, I don't know, they're probably going to be pretty one-dimensional just because it's all based on assumptions, but people are rarely so one-dimensional. But I think it's still going to work out. In fact, so we've got 10 minutes left, and I'd love to hear from every group. And we have 5, or do we have 4 groups now, Jen? Because one of them had to be consolidated. 4 groups, good. So we have 10 minutes. Let's take about 2 minutes per group. And real quick, I want to remind everybody to fill out the evaluation at the end. And it would actually be really beneficial to me because I've done workshops like this in person a lot, and I haven't done very many virtually, and I'm trying to figure it out. So any feedback you can give on what worked and what didn't, I would really appreciate. So, Richard, actually, would you mind? Wait, what do you?
I was going to say, do you want to start with breakout room 1? We have 1, 2, 3, and 5.
Oh, yeah, we could do that. Let's do it in order. Who'd like to start from breakout room number 1?
Okay, so I will be representing breakout room number 1. Our category was hipster, and so Alex is a hipster and a misunderstood lover of coffee and very underground music. She seeks her tribe, so small class sizes and a liberal arts college are what she looks for in this education. The views of the class will be quite homogenous because nonchalance is a defense mechanism she developed over years of disagreeing with her conservative suburban parents who believe she has no personal ambition. Her classes would meet weekly at a coffee shop around a specific topic, and this would be where she is comfortable to discuss her interests in social justice. In this class, she would want all the tests to be pass, fail, and essay. Class feedback would also be a part of her grade.
So break room 1 is going to write a short story now.
Yeah, I think I already did. So can I submit that in the feedback?
Yeah.
Yes, that is awesome. I love it. I feel like I know her. All right, breakout room number 2.
Yeah, I can go, and then John and Amanda, of course, please chime in. But you guys already kind of met Julie, so we'll just go high level here. We talked more about as Julie was turning in assignments for her class, and that of course it's all it's remote learning. It's asynchronous learning style, but for turning in the assignment, we actually said that it would be acceptable in an audio format, so she can do something while she's recording it in the car. And we said unedited would be preferred, almost giving us like a taste of her real world. So if she's got kids screaming in the back, that's fine. And that, that there's no need to edit, and it's really just kind of dictating her thoughts. So giving us more of an oral response to maybe a prompt question than anything that we're looking for to be super, edited out or tailored.
That's great. I love how it's nuanced. It's important that you don't take things out of context. You've got the sort of the audio of her everyday life as being part of the narrative of whatever she's recording. That's very cool. It's a great idea. Okay, breakout group number 3.
Well, I could present for our team, and please add anything. Abby is our persona. She is a high school teacher, and she found out a couple of her students were behind, and so she's been making phone calls to find out to see how she could help those students. And originally she think there's only technology issue, but she ended up find out a lot of her students are African American and Hispanic students, and beside COVID related distance learning challenges, they also have a lot of family challenges because of the infectious disease. And so the student ended up having to help their family. And so the solution, we have many solutions, and end up come up the best solution that we think would work is like, given Abby is also stressed out in terms of reaching out those students. So we think focusing on high needs students and also having students to learn all the subject, it's not possible. So we decided to have students break out to different groups, and then each group focusing on specific topic area, and then they will share back together. And so in a way, they also support each other. So that's our solution. And instead of make to make fun, learning more fun, so the teacher, Abby, decided to make the grade become pass fail, not graded at the level.
That's great. So this is a focus on individualized learning, right? And sort of meeting the students where they are.
Yes, like high needs students. Yes.
Excellent. That's great. And then we have one more group, right? Number 5? Okay.
Yeah, I can briefly describe what we discussed. So our persona was an Instagram model.
Emily, your voice is really loud.
Oh, sorry. I having some problems with my. Is it better?
Oh, but that's better. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, sorry. So our persona was an Instagram model, which was very difficult because none of us use Instagram. But we figured out that if you have to share, her name is Maria, and if you have to teach her something, it would be divided in 2 phases. So the first phase would be with a lot of visual content, because she knows how videos and photographs work in social media and things like that. And this would be the first part of introducing the subject, and this can be done by video lectures or something like that. But in a second phase, which would be more important, would be talking to her and understanding what kind of followers she has in her social media, and guiding her how to produce some content that about the pandemic or about whatever we want to teach her, but help her produce some content designed for her audience in a way that she can use that in her social media activities as well. More or less, this is what we discussed.
That's great. So you're identifying two things that are like specific to this Instagram model, and that's that her media or her medium that she is good at, right, is photography and videography. So make the assignments based around that, but then also consider the context of what's important to her, consider that her followers and the types of messages that would appeal to the followers.
Yeah, because not necessarily what the followers like is what she likes.
Yeah, exactly.
These are the maybe different things.
Wow, these are great ideas. We're about to wrap up, guys, and I just want to tell you what a pleasure it's been to spend time with you. We could spend another hour talking through these solutions and talking about your discussions. So hopefully that the Zoom format for this worked out well. Again, please fill out the form. And does anyone have anything they'd like to say in closing?
Yeah, so just briefly, with the addition of Jonah on our group at the end, we spanned near the West Coast, near the East Coast, Nigeria, and France. And the fact that we all got together, and I think we'd have a great time if we all sat down and had a beer or a cup of coffee together, and we all talked maybe a total of 10 minutes. It's great.
Great, thank you.
All the more reason. So when we're back to normal and we get to hold these conferences in person, I think we'll do just that.
Yeah. It's
Well,
a great session. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thanks.
Jerry, is this process, this is going to be similar to a code design? This is more of an idea of focusing on a particular person in a process, but code design is going to be different. That's actually engaging the person you're thinking of.
Yeah, that's involving the person in the design process.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're very similar. So all this, you've heard of design thinking. This is all kind of just variants of design thinking. And it basically is, you start with empathy. You start by understanding the user, and that helps you to define the problem that you want to solve. Now you've got your research, you've got a clear focus on what your problem is, and you can start to ideate and come up with all these different ideas because you already have the insights, right? And then what we didn't do is the last parts of the process is, once you come up with something that's actionable, you implement it and you test it. So if you're coming up with the coffee shop idea for the hipster, you actually offer a semester-long class where they meet in a coffee shop and you observe and you get feedback and you learn how effective it is. And then at the end of it, you can evaluate it and say, this worked, this didn't work. And now you can return back and iterate. And now you take this idea and you start by interviewing people again and gaining more empathy, and the process starts all over again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Richard.
The question comes up, I don't do this in the education world. If you were going to run this workshop with the issue being, I've got a class or I've got a team, and I'm trying to figure out a solution because I only have ability to do one, I would guess your framing of this whole workshop would be quite a bit different. Because you still want to get the buy-in and the empathy with the people who are in your team or your class, right?
If this was for a class and they were actually going to solve a problem, and you had the time to do this, I would actually start by asking them to interview the people that the problem affects. So I would not do the hipster, the bro, the soccer mom. I wouldn't do that part because that's really just getting us to a point where we can base our empathy on something. But much more genuine empathy, of course, genuine would be by actually interviewing people. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your week. I really enjoyed this.
Same here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good to meet y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.